And if you wouldn't mind just giving them a big round of applause. In fifth place today, Cameron Worth. Fourth place, Ben Hoffman. Sebastian Kilo, Tim O'Donnell, and your three-time Vega IRONMAN World Champion, Mr. Jan Frodeno. Well, as we went into today's race, there was many stories to tell, but there was a big buzz around the room about who is going to be the first three-time German champion. Would it be Patrick Lange? Would it be Jan Frodeno? Unfortunately, Patrick Lange was out of the race at about 38 to 41 miles into the course when he was just about to approach that Kauai High area. Unfortunately, we lost our two-time defending champion. But then Jan Frodeno was at the front of the race with his company right up there in the front. It was a very good pace at this time, but we were seeing the race unfold like no other. We were expecting Cam Worth, Lionel Sanders, Sebastian Kilo, Boris Stein to come through the course here and take the reins at the front of the course, but it was Jan Frodeno at 90 miles who put an acceleration on Tim O'Donnell. He came into the transition area and ran away with the race for his third Ironman World Championship crown. Ladies and gentlemen, would you give it up for Mr. Jan Frodeno? Tim O'Donnell, on the other hand, hadn't had such a year that he was hoping for. He was a little bit injured. It was only his third race of the year, coming in with only a couple of weeks running on the road. He was running on an Alta G, running on a treadmill before being able to run on the road and coming into this race very underdone on the run. But being as tough as he is, he did it for his wife, who had to pull out at the 111-mile mark, and then also for his daughter, Izzy. Give it up for Tim O'Donnell in an incredible second place. 5 weeks ago at the Ironman 70.3 World Championship, this guy had the swim that he wants to forget. Today, he went out there and just executed a great race. I'm sorry, Sebi, I love you, man. You know that. He went to Maui, he put in a great training block. We knew he was in great running shape. He executed a fantastic bike today. He really accelerated toward the end of that. But in the first part of the run, we thought that Sebi was taking time out of everyone, and he was. He ended up coming in third place today, and we're so excited to see one of our ex-champions back on the podium. Give it up for Sebastian Kilo. You know, this time last year, we have to talk about history because, you know, Jan Frodeno's won the Ironman 70.3, he's won the Olympic Games, and he's won the Ironman. After the Ironman 70.3 race, he travelled back to Australia, got off the plane and was complaining of a sore hip. It ended up being a torn sacrum and a stress fracture. He had to sit out last year. He came here to watch the race and he said it was the worst day of his life. Absolutely, I concur. I've seen it before, Jan, and it is one of those days, but I bet you learned something. Because I know something about Jan Frodeno, and he is tough as nails. And he has this hashtag, and it says, because I can. I'm going to ask him about that a little bit later on. But anyway, this also happened to Ben Hoffman, and where I'm leading to is that Ben and Jan shared the same injury this time last year. Torn sacrum, stress fracture, out for the day, but he came back even stronger this year. This year was a life-changing experience. He had his daughter this year. It was absolutely incredible. Came with a beautiful, beautiful mental attitude and executed the perfect run today. Give it up. Fourth place, second American, Ben Hoffman. When you think about Ironman, you know it's the most grueling one-day endurance sporting event in the world. This guy in fifth place today, you have to talk about overall athleticism. He went to the Olympic Games as a rower. He was a world champion junior rower. He was a professional cyclist and now a professional triathlete. This guy's never short of a few words on social media, right, Cam? But today, after only 3 weeks after setting a 7:45 in his best marathon ever at 2:45, come out here and got fifth place. He's been working toward the podium for a long time, and you must admit that today, given the very short period of time as a professional triathlete, this was a great day for Cam Worth. In 5th place from Australia, Cameron Worth. You know what, we couldn't have scripted it any better today. The men's race, we knew going in it was going to be a sensational day. And on Facebook Watch, we had the most amount of people watching in today. It's going to be incredible when we get the numbers. We will let you know. But today, I have to hand the floor right now to Mr. Jan Frodeno to explain his day. Jan, would you just go chronologically through your day, please?
So I got up at 3:45 and then...
what did you eat?
Well, yeah, it was a really weird day because for some strange reason I got up and I turned off my alarm and then I went on to, literally by accident, I went onto Twitter. I'm not kidding, and this is a guy, Pete Jacobs. I have a lot of rants with him. He's all about eating meat and only meat. And being a vegetarian, I'm like, that's fine for you, just don't say it's the best thing in the world. But anyways, after a long time, he put out something for those of you in Kona. Let me try and get it together. Be strong, be present, be grateful, and be confident. And I read this line, and it's the weirdest thing because I'm not even a Twitter fan, and I got onto this by accident, and this guy happened to be there, and I was expecting some meat rant, and those 4 things stuck with me for the whole day, and calmed me down a lot actually before the race, because of course, I mean, it's nervous and anxious, and you go around, and people want a selfie, and you don't want to do selfies, and it's pre-race nerves, you know. It's still the same after that many years in the business. And, you know, going into the swim, Josh had made the call, he wants to break the course record, and of course you never know what's tactical and what's not, but it turned out that I always start on the left, and those guys always start on the right, and we ended up meeting pretty quickly, and I felt really good in the swim, and sort of had made the pact with myself to, whatever I do, not lead any group, whether I get spat out of the first one, because I think if they were going for a swim course record, I wouldn't have been up for that. And I was quite happy sitting on eventually Josh's feet, and yeah, felt really, really good going into it, and was very surprised to have such a small group coming out of the water. And then the first thing I saw at the first turnaround was that Patrick was also in the group. And considering how small the group was, I instantly thought, I think he may have cooked himself. It was just one of those ideas that, you know, of course, I did have him very high on my list for the race. Yeah, then the bike ride turned out to be, I mean, can you believe it? Alistair Brownlee, wherever he goes, he always gets the weather. I mean, it's bloody Hawaii, and it starts raining. And I put it down to this guy because he loves rainy races. And I'm sure that Olympic distance racing is entirely on rainy locations. I mean, it rained in Abu Dhabi. I'm pretty sure it's this guy. He just loves the wet. And so it rained here, and I couldn't help have a little smirk about the whole conditions and everything. But yeah, slowly but surely we formed a group, and T.O. and Alistair and Josh was in there in the beginning, and Maurice Clavel, your old training partner, I think. And we actually Maurice and I almost had a little crash where he got taken over he got a wind gust and rode straight into my bike as I was sort of overtaking him. Anyways, what else? Yeah, you took the lead. You took the lead going down Harvey. T.O. took the lead, and eventually I saw that Alistair had a flat, and I thought that he was riding tubular tires so that he could probably just put a CO2 and fill it up. I'm still not quite sure what happened, but for sure he wasn't a happy guy when he came back, and that for the first time led me to believe that maybe he's not just pokering and waiting for the marathon. So just before the airport, I took my chance. I was feeling really, really good on the bike, and just the good thing about the highway here is that you can just put your head down and have that white line on the side, and really, yeah, unless the motorbike in front of you crashes, there's not too much you can hit. Managed to get a little lead into T2. Took my time at the transition just to try and cool down and get everything right, not make any mistakes, and headed out along Alihi, feeling really good. Probably starting off a little bit too quick, but still feeling within myself. And then it was Thomas Hellriegel, a guy who won here in 97? 97. And he's like, you need a 2:44 for the record. And I was like, oh, really? And he said this at like 12K, and I was just content where I was, happily ticking along, and this guy has to throw this at my feet because I had no idea. I'm short-sighted, so I didn't have the remotest clue what the clock was saying on the car. And from then it's sort of, it's the mixture of being anxious to try and set a mark like that, and at the same time, I really did have moments of gratitude where I was in this race and realized that last year I was standing here and how much it just sucked to be on the sideline, and it was really, really unique because I think in my 18 years of being a pro, I think this is the day. This was the day I've been looking for. I felt good in the marathon all the way, really, and that just doesn't happen in Ironman. And I think that's that was a crazy experience going through the energy lab. I actually haven't run the new course, so it was kind of a little bit new. But then again, it's 42K, and towards the tail end, still feeling strong. I mean, of course, the fatigue sets in, and it's a hard day. But I was just super stoked to meet all my friends and family in the Finnish area and just celebrate a win together. Well done to Jan.
Jan also, his splits today were 47.31 in the swimmer, 16.03 on the bike, and a 2:42.43 on the run today. His total time 7:51.13 was good enough for a world championship record. I just want to make one more comment, that his lovely wife was inducted into the Australian Sports Hall of Fame on Thursday night and made it back last night for the start of the race. So congratulations to you, Jan.
On the wife, or?
I'm going to go over to Tim O'Donnell right now because, Tim, second place today, absolutely incredible. The best result that you've had, but it was a really big year for you. You had to face adversity many times, qualifying at Ironman Boulder with a third place up there, and then getting to the World Championship with limited amounts of training on the run course. Just explain about your preparation going into this race and how stoked you are for your silver medal today.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to hold this.
Don't break it.
Still on strength, too much.
My nickname for Mrini is the rhinoceros. But yeah, it was definitely a tough year. I crashed my bike in Noosa in March, and then that kind of just set me back. But then a few weeks ago, I had broken my foot last year. I know I sound like a hot mess, but it turns out it healed kind of weird. It was kind of healed with scar tissue instead of like calcifying. So a few weeks ago, I rolled my ankle and basically re-broke it. So it was a lot of Ultra G running and aqua jogging, and I just kept remembering. I think it was the year Sebi won.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Couple of years.
I'm like, well, Sebi aqua jogged and he won this thing, so what? Might as well give it a shot. But I think it was great. It took a lot of pressure off. And what Jan was saying about when he missed last year, thinking I wasn't going to be able to race, it just kind of changed my perspective about how fortunate we are to be here, even though we don't want to qualify every year. But yeah, it was awesome. And my family's here, which is great. My parents came in 2011, first year I raced, and I DNF'd, and they have not been back since. So I'm glad that wasn't the result today.
All right, thanks, Tim. That's it? Wow.
What else did you want me to say?
Well, that's all good, mate. Yeah,
cool.
It's good. We'll have questions coming up later on, I'm sure. All right, let's go over to Sebastian Kilo, because Sebastian, it's been a great return to racing for you. Last year wasn't what you wanted, but today we're so happy to see you back on the podium. Just give us a little synopsis of your race today.
It was really interesting to hear Jan's perspective of the race. Of course, mine was a little different. I didn't have.
We didn't get to the front.
Yeah, exactly. I would have loved to share some of these moments with Jan and give him some company to enjoy the moment, but try next year again. So I thought I had a pretty good swim start, despite the fact that I really hit full on one of the canoes at the start, or surfers. But it was a really good start, but I had no clue during our whole swim in which group we are. It could have been, I knew it's probably not the first group, but I thought second group, third group, I don't know. And then when we exit the water, first information was, Cam's right behind you. And I was like, yeah, that's not too bad. Second information was, Lionel's right behind you. And I'm like, I thought we have at least a little gap on this guy. But then I realized, there's still some guys in the parking lot, aka transition area. So probably wasn't the fourth group or something like that. But then the next thing was 4 minutes 30 on the lead. And I knew, okay, that means also a lot of white line watching for me on the bike. But it ended up actually being a lot of watch Cam's back riding on the bike, because for some reason he really likes the front. Maybe it's because he was always bunched up in his cycling career, and therefore he needs enjoy some space around him. So I tried to contribute to our chase.
And
two
that's when
times.
Jan got away.
Probably. I'm not sure. I thought I'm doing pretty well, but according to my power numbers, it was pretty good. And but then it wasn't quick enough for Cam, obviously. So he came back around, and then we got the information 1 minute 50 on Jan, and so. It already said that he gapped TO and Alistair. I think that was 30 seconds to Alistair. And then at the very end of the ride, we caught up to Alistair, and I thought might be maybe just a minute 10 or something to Jan. And then same thing again, running out on the run course. It's 4:30, and I'm like. What just happened? We didn't park or something like that. I didn't have a flat tire. So therefore, I knew that's going to be a pretty tough ask for the marathon, but I felt really, really good in the last couple of weeks running. So I had the confidence to at least give it a try, and I was on the handbrake the whole lead drive, but probably still not enough, because then I was really on the handbrake later. And of course, then I realized, that's Jan's show again, but maybe second place. Because I think not a lot of people beside Jan had TO on the list, because he was on the phone with Greg Bennett. And
True story.
And
he said he wouldn't bring his run shoes.
Yeah. And that's where you have to be very careful about the guy.
That's a classic Greg Bennett.
And but quickly again, the goals changed from maybe I can win this thing to maybe I can get second, and then maybe I can finish. Because, Ben gave me a pretty hard time. I was struggling a lot, and that's the worst place you're in when it's just more or less about fighting your own demons and trying to make it somehow to the finish line, and you just want it to be over. and at this moment you don't really care about the guy in front. And then like my support team, they always give me splits to TO, and then at a sudden they start to give me splits to Ben, and I was like, okay, this is not a good sign. This is not a good sign. But I'm really, I sort of like hated him for 30 minutes, but now I really love him because, first of all, I made it, and then. But second, it feels so much better if you have to fight for it. And so thanks, Ben.
Thank you very much, Sebi. I mean, you can just see the ohana happening up here. Everybody's a friend, and everybody respects each other in racing. And I just wanted to say that, when Ben was closing in on Sebi, Ben ran the second fastest run split today, only by 25 seconds, behind Fredino. Fredino was in the 242s, Ben right in the 243s. And closing in fast on Sebi. Okay, so that's a perfect segue over to Ben Hoffman, the second American across the line today for fourth place. Ben, been a great year for you last year. Wasn't the year that you wanted, then you came back so strong. Ironman African champion. You just put that, the stress fracture and everything behind you, the same, injury as Frodo. Came back. Great set of heels in Africa, and then everything just went strength to strength, and then the baby came along in September. Absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to you and Kelsey. Explain today, because you were on form all week. You just looked great, you spoke well, and you just had an air of confidence about you.
Yeah, I think, Jan touched on this a little bit, but I also came out to watch the race and to drink some drinks with Jan at the bar, and it was a difficult time. There's no question, and it stoked the fire. To learn something, to learn a lesson or two from the injury, and to come back here ready to do a big performance. Like Sebi said, Jan stole the show, and I think we all have to acknowledge that was an absolutely insane world-class performance. I mean, to set the record on a day like that where the wind did actually play with us a little bit was just mind-boggling. So absolute, hats off to all these guys, but especially Jan for setting the bar so high. But yeah, I came out here with, just the mindset of gratitude, which has been touched on as well tonight. So I feel like my thunder keeps getting stolen by these guys. I should have finished higher so I could talk sooner. But yeah, I just really was grateful. And all week long, people kept asking me, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?" And I'm like, I'm right here, right now, and I'm enjoying this week. And I'm not in a rush to get to race day. I feel prepared for it, but I'm not really in a rush to get to Friday night or Saturday morning when it's Tuesday right now. And I just enjoyed the week and soaked it in and appreciated all of the community that's here, the people that invest in this industry and make it possible for us to make a living doing something we love. And I tried to carry that on the course. It didn't really provide for me on the bike today. These guys shelled me for sure, and I just tried to stay calm and patient and then wait for the marathon, which I really backed myself this year. I've been doing some great training, and I believe in a lot, the process that my coach and I have for the marathon, and I think I was finally able to put that on display here in Kona, and I think it should be an asset for me moving forward that I know I can run, a solid marathon out here. But yeah, I guess as a final note too, having a baby daughter, it changed my entire mindset. I heard people say that, and you just don't know until you do it, and I feel like my heart really just kind of doubled in size overnight, and it's been really awesome. And I guess looking at Jan to as a model for us, I think I need to have another one so that I can go a little faster next year. So
Get the nanny with it though. It didn't work before the nanny.
yeah.
Well, practice is always good, Ben. I didn't say that, but anyway. All right, let's go over to Cam Worth. Cam, it's been another incredible year for you, mate. 3 weeks ago, you went 7:45 with the 2:45. You reduced your marathon time by a lot. And coming into this race, you had to know that you had a good shot of winning this race.
Yeah, I did. I guess we had an interesting strategy that was criticised, I guess, by most, and maybe now those people can have their day. but hey, I was beaten by better guys. I certainly didn't have the swim I want, but the reality was I was with the same guys that I was with last year. I came out of the water with Sebi. It was a very similar group. It was just a different dynamic with Jan being there and Josh and Alistair just pushing that pace. And I knew that could happen. It was just where that rubber band would snap, and I kind of hoped that I'd be on the right side of it, and I wasn't. And then on the bike, to be honest, I tried to drop Sebi at the start, and I really wanted to get to Jan and the guys before he could. But that wasn't to be. He and Big Bad Boris charged on up behind me and parked themselves there. Boris came past a couple of times, and he did these ridiculous 10-second 500 watt efforts, and then would slow down and sit up. And I said, mate, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm playing. I said, well, the race is leaving, so we got to go, And so congrats to him for being such a douchebag. But from there, I was obviously happy on the front. Sebi did. At the turnaround, I saw the guys, they started a good gap, and we'd been riding hard and we hadn't reduced it much. So I, at that point, realised, well, it's not going to be like it's been for me here before. Everyone's just upped their game and taken that away from me. So I just didn't have the legs to get up there, to be honest. And then, when Sebi came past and, did a little bit of a turn, that was really nice of him. It wasn't that. Yeah, that also wasn't appreciated, but certainly appreciated more than Boris. So that was really nice. I just kept looking back because I was working pretty hard. I have to emphasise that, and just to congratulate Jan on how he delivered everything today, and that's how it should be, of course. And I just kept saying to myself, when the group was so big, and it's normally not like that for so long, if it's as a famous man once said, if it's hurting me, it's got to be killing them. But I found out the hard way, it doesn't really work when the guy that actually said that is the one behind you. So I found that out
That
pretty...
was a long time ago,
Yeah,
before you actually...
even raced. Yeah, before I even started the sport. So... but I listened, I do listen to you guys, and very selective, but
And also comment.
And comment, yeah. But onto the run, and of course, Alistair, it was nice to be able to just do a bit, but it just shows how similar Jan and I are. I was able to get a little gap from my little group into transition, give me a bit of breathing space, took my time in transition as well, put some sunscreen on, and... put my watch on properly and did all those things. So that was nice, and got on the run in third, and still had these guys behind me. And I knew Alistair would, go for it and try and run past. And he looks like Twinkle Toes. He just parades along like a gazelle. It's amazing. But I also knew I'd see him again. Which was... It's interesting because it probably shows the confidence I've now got in my run that the double Olympic champion can go past you. And I was like, no, I got you, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to stay there long. And then, of course, Sebi came past with his... I thought Sebi had a horrible limp, but it was just that Lionel was so far up his backside that they were so close. And I realised it was actually Lionel that snuck through there too. And... same thing, I thought, Lionel, if you're limping now, I'm going to see you again too. And, just stayed calm. You said the Hellraiser told you. I actually said, when I saw you on Ali Drive, that break the record. Yeah, that was what I was yelling at you.
I've learned over the last 2 years, to just not listen to you. Take it on, but everyone is well advised in the pro field to not listen or take it too serious.
Yeah, and then that's true. Yeah.
We've only got 7 minutes left, so we'll leave it at that.
Right. Yeah. Well, anyway, that was pretty much that.
We got nothing to say.
As I guessed, I saw Ali and Lionel again out on the Queen K, and went past them like they were standing still. That felt so good. For a brief moment, I thought I could win, but then we got in the energy lab, of course, and then saw the Hoff coming, and he looked like every bit the Hoff. He was hammering, and he sucked my hat off with about 5 or 6K to go off the head when he went past. Get that back later. And it was just Joe Skipper was also coming, so I was glad, that I had to fight for 5th, because I really did. That last few K was tough, so I'm really proud to be up here. It's a real honour, and especially to share it with these particular guys. It's really, really special. So thanks.
Thanks, Cam. Give him a big round of applause for our top 5. Obviously, the fastest swim today went out to Josh Amberger. The fastest bike went out to Cameron Worth today, and Jan Frodeno brought it home. Really did today in a 2:42.43, but he was only 25 seconds in front of the Hoff, so well done to Ben Hoffman. Now it's time to open up the floor to our media guests, and first question right here.
Rich with 3 or 3. Cam, this question's for you.
Most probably will be, but yeah.
You said that everyone's up in their game. You've worked on your run.
Yeah.
Fastest bikes for the day. What do you have to do next year to be back up here?
Swim, bike, and run a lot quicker than I did today, pretty much. I mean, the swim is obviously the crucial one, especially now that these guys are, so much stronger across the board.
Go to the Olympics.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm actually...
Make it official, man.
Yeah, so I'm actually racing a World Cup in 4 weeks. So I've decided to set myself the target of trying to qualify for the Olympics to make me improve my swim. Well aware of the prospect that it's probably very, very far-fetched attempt, but I know that it's something that I want really badly, so I know I'm going to work really hard on my swim and try and put myself in the game, because you just can't give these guys any rope. You just can't, and I'm sure they'll up their game again. One thing I'm really proud of is the last few years, the races just got faster and faster since I turned up. So I hope it's because these guys love kicking my ass. I don't care what it is. As long as the sport benefits from it and we see a race like we did today each year, then that's great.
Cameron's also represented his country, Australia, at the Olympic Games in rowing. Question over here.
Yeah, Jan, you mentioned, actually from another podcast, you mentioned the motorcycle, and I know you've had a couple of issues in other races with the motorcycles getting in your way, and Alistair today had to kind of wave one away, and also one of the women pros cracked a couple of ribs because of the motorcycle today. So I'm curious, how we can make our sports safer, especially on big stages like this.
Well, I didn't have any issues with the motorcycles at all today. I mean, it just happens. We go to cities, we go to big venues. There are a lot of people out on the course. When there are laps on the bike, it just becomes crowded, and it's just a part of bike racing. And I think, generally, being European, I'm obviously not a big fan of Harley Davidsons being on there, just because they just can't get out of the way and they're that big. But all jokes aside, I honestly can't criticize these guys. They come out here, they do a great job. It's not intentional, and it's just going to happen when people are on their limit. I mean, they too are sitting on the bike for 4.5 hours, trying to concentrate, doing the best job they can. Quite frankly, sometimes shit just happens. Today I ran into a volunteer, and she certainly had no intentions of that. And it's just, it's becoming a big sport, and 2,500 people out there, and you're gonna have small incidents like this, but I don't feel that safety is an issue.
Next question right here in the front.
Anyone who has experienced last year's race, how was the weather and water condition compared to last year?
-1.
So let's just recap. Yeah, let's just recap last year. It was a benign year. there was no wind. It was a record-setting year. This year we had 22-knot winds at Harvey. Going up from Kauai High all the way up to Harvey, there was 22-knot winds out of the east, which is the leeward side of the island. The guys had a fairly hefty sort of crosswind on the way back down. It was a very tough bike ride at the far end of the course. Guys?
Agreed.
Yeah, that was really it. The only difference this year was the part up to Howie from when you turn at the petrol station there. That out and back.
That would be the
was
gas station.
The gas station, sorry. The servo. But yeah, that was just quite a lot harder, and that certainly made the race much more difficult than last year.
Okay. Brad?
Did you ever doubt your ability to get back to this point after what you've done through the last 2 years? And if not, how do you kind of keep those doubts away?
Question directed at Jan Frodeno. If you didn't hear, it was, did you ever doubt getting back to this point?
You know, the thing is, our sport gets so judged on this race, and you can have a fantastic year, and if you don't do well at this year or at this race or something happens, then, you know, there's instantly, you've had a bad season. I feel that, I've really, I'd be lying to say I didn't have doubts. I mean, I have doubts every day about all kinds of things, but I think that's part of the dialogue within yourself of trying to figure out, you know, are you being reasonable? Are you not being reasonable? Of course, it's a gamble. And I think the biggest thing I realize is that you just need a good serving of luck sometimes. Like, it's got to come together. And I love my kids to bits, but, you know, they bring different obligations and they bring a different routine. And, you know, you used to think that you're a professional when you can have 3 naps in the day and you go out and everything's prepared and you're only having, you know, the best food. And these days I find that the more relaxed attitude and the not really thinking about everything too hard really helped me to get to this point, to just chill out and try and do the best every day.
Was that the most special finish line of your career, even more so than Beijing 2008? Pretty emotional finish, and then mean more because of the last time.
Yeah, I mean, it was just because of the whole day. You know, you can't really beat a sprint finish in terms of finish line and emotions. That's one thing. But I have to say that in terms of the whole day, the whole race, that's, yeah, probably the one I'd pick.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got time for a couple of more questions before we have to reset for our women's press conference. And then also, you are available to come forward in the next 10 minutes or so to have one-on-ones, but we have to reset by 6:55 to get ready for our women's press conference. Over the back.
Yeah, Tim, ran into Tim after you're finished, after he made fun of me for not having faith in you. He said he thought that the injury might have been a blessing in disguise because it made you not over-race and rest quite a bit going into the race. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, it'll make me rethink about, my race schedule for next year and then how we train too. It's very easy to get caught up in hitting numbers and training and always wanting to have bigger, better workouts. But I think, there's something to be said for having that freshness, because this race is very mental, and I think having that freshness really helps you kind of stay focused on the race and not give up, really.
Last question over here.
Jan, did you read that the defending champion has to pull out of the race, or do you see that as a part of the game? Take a little bit out of the whole celebration of the victory at all?
Most definitely not. It's a great panel. I mean, what more do you want? No, in all seriousness, I mean, I was a little bit bummed when I saw him pull out. Simply, I don't know.
So Jan, let's just go back a little bit. You didn't actually see him pull out. When did you find out that he pulled out?
So I got the split, and someone said it was, Jimmy Riccitello came up, and he was like over 3 minutes. And then he came back 5 minutes later, and he's like over 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's going down quick. But maybe it's just, I mean, it's a personal decision to pull out, and it's probably not my favorite decision. And it's always nice when you stand and take the punch, but yeah, his personal decision, but yeah, I'm a happy guy. I honestly don't give a shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you give him a big round of applause, our top 5?